got it. And then we've been working like crazy. And so we want to share with you what we've been doing and introduce the team, the research team. We've been reaching out to other people who are interested in research. And so we're just going to get started. Catherine, do you want to put up our...
So I'm going to be screen sharing with all of you a little PowerPoint we made to kind of walk you through the project and the team members who are part of this. So can everyone see that?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
So first we'll be introducing Colleen, who's president of Friends of Highland Arts, who's going to talk a little bit about our partnership with the project.
Yes, because without Colleen and Friends of Highland Arts, we wouldn't have gotten to square one. They are, well, Colleen will explain what our relationship is. And I'm also on the board of Friends of Highland Arts. When we met, it was just like sparks and away we went.
Okay, hi everyone. Yeah, Friends of Highland Arts. I am the founder and president of Friends of Highland Arts. And we were incorporated in 2014, but at the end of the year as a 501c3. Our organization is 100% volunteer. And, oh, you know what I need to do, Jackie? I'm going to make you well, we're going to let people in. They're going to have to wait. Okay, our organization is a 501c3, and as such, we are the fiscal sponsor for the Highland Heritage Project. So we could get the grant from the Minnesota Historical Society and work with the team that's here. We envision Highland to be an arts-infused community, and that's what we're working toward. And our tagline is essentially what our mission is, which is supporting arts and celebrating community. So we can go to the next slide, Catherine. And what we have done in the community, just a little recap here, is we have offered 2 free events. This is our Kumbaya Highland. We also did a Hilarious Highland. It's comedy improv, a free community event that we had at Summit Brewing. And we had hoped to do one this year called Hysterical Historical Highland to kind of kick off this project. Hopefully we're going to do that in 2021 once we get this COVID under control. But that will be our next fall event. And then, Catherine, you can go to the next slide. This is our Pool House Rock event. This is the old Highland Pool. And in June, we've had now 4 consecutive years of summer concerts at the Pool House. And we've done this partnering with the Highland District Council and the Parks and Rec. And where we have free, music, again, free, everything's free to the community. We have food trucks, games, musicians, and then we've recently added some community art, which you'll see on the building itself. But this is always done in June, and it's a very fun event. In addition, before I just talk about this, we do spring art showcases with the Highland Park Senior High School. We've done 5 of them already, and then we also coordinated the Highland Fest Art Fair the last time it was offered with Highland Fest. Our advocacy efforts all revolve around this historic Highland Pool House. And here you'll see some pictures, just giving you a little background if you're not familiar. And again, I'm going to call it a pool house, but Jane McClure will correctly remind me that technically this is a bath house, but we like to refer to it as a pool house. It was erected in 1936. It's a Works Progress Administration building, and created out of Platteville limestone. Maybe some of you have swam here or enjoyed it. While it's not technically a historic building, it is considered a historic resource by the city. It was in use until 1979 when the Aquatic Center was opened up, which is what we're using today. And really, since that time, it's been mothballed by the parks. It's been used on limited basis for storage of equipment. the condition of the building has been deteriorating with each passing season. It really kind of became unsafe with the doors and the windows, you know, opened. And to Parks' credit, they did apply, you know, perennially, it seemed like, for some CIB funding to put some money into this building. However, with the competitive dollars across the city and limited funds, we were never, the Highland District Council and Parks never really got funds to take care of this building, unfortunately. So in 2015, it was really, when Friends of Highland Arts Board was looking at this, we were looking at it as like, wow, this is at a tipping point between preservation and demolition. We can go to the next slide now. So this is just, you know, obviously from the Villager, this was our, this is what it looked like in 2015. And we are excited about this building and we want to see it restored to the community. And so what we did in 2015 is we started working with St. Paul Parks and also Councilman Tolbert's office. And with our encouragement, I believe they committed to not having the building demolition, that they want to preserve the building, again, with no funds, but they did have funds to repair a roof. So you'll see this is the old condition, and so in 2015, we took all the good tiles off and we put a roof on to stop the further deterioration. Friends of Highland Arts also work with Highland District Council, and we have they passed a resolution to really support our efforts and to work together to preserve this building. In 2016, there was an engineering study done to determine the structural condition assessment of the building, and that was funded by Councilman Tolbert's office. And they did find that it is definitely structurally sound. I mean, it needs work. I've got some people in the waiting room, so if you don't, let's see, trying to admit them here. Okay, sorry about that. So it does need some work, obviously, but we did get the engineering study approved that we could go on. After that time, Parks did put an RFP out, and they were looking for a private developer. So I have a public-private partnership with the building, but there's no utilities going to the building, and in the condition it's in, there was really no interest. So that really brings us back to today. And then next slide. Okay, so this is us, Friends of Highland Arts. So this is what we are doing. We're kind of getting re-energized about this building. And what we need to do is, in addition to the summer concerts and that, we need to get the community, and that's why I'm talking so much about it, the community out there to recognize and support our work. And what we thought we would do is bring some attention to it and beautify it. So this is the team, volunteers of Friends in Highland Arts, and this the colorful picture with the kids that was at the Highland Fest, and we've been doing murals in the community to put on the building, and we're going to be continuing this weekend on Sunday, and you'll hear a commercial about that at the end of this presentation. But so we've been beautifying it to bring some attention to the building and to make the community aware. And we are going to continue our efforts to develop a private and public, some kind of a partnership to fund this restoration, because we think it's a great site. Our vision personally is to have a kind of an art center there, a community gathering place of local artists, walk-up restaurant, you know, certainly keep the Frisbee golf, but maybe some, you know, amphitheater in the summer. So do park and rec classes. I think there's a lot we can do here. So that's my spiel on what we've been doing at Friends of Highland Arts. And now I'm going to turn it back so that you can learn about the history of Highland and what HHP has been working on.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Colleen. It's really exciting that we're able to do historic preservation already. And I'm hoping a lot of you are getting excited, getting some ideas, getting the vision, because that's of the opportunity that we have here, and we really want to make use of it. Now, I see a friend of mine over here. I'd like to recognize Judge Afwerki Georges, and is Ermias there? Yes, hello. The judge, we've been friends for a long time. Really a wonderful person who's been so supportive of the Eritrean community and the Ethiopian community, which have given so much to our own community here in Highland. I'm going to hold up his book. That I just want to mention that for the judge. And Ermias will, and they'll both be helping with documenting the Eritrean, Ethiopian, East African community, their contributions and their story, which is really so important to our overall story. We'll get back to you in a little bit. So next so this is what we did. We got the grant, and that came through in May, and then we started putting together our team. And we hired Catherine Josie, who's been already seen her, and we created a website. We're going to have her show us that.
So I'm Catherine Josie. I'm a 2020 graduate of history and political science. I attended Beloit College in Wisconsin. We're like right on the Illinois-Wisconsin border, if you all are familiar with that area. And I've got a little background in communications. I did a summer in public media at TPT, so that's how I kind of like landed here with my intersections. And so I'll be showing you the website now. Whoop, exit this. Whoop. So here's our website. You can find us at the highlandheritageproject.org. So it's just our name and a .org. And on the front page, you'll find a little information about the grant. And if you go to the About, you can click on Meet Our Team, and you can get little bios about all the team members. We also have a Community Partners page, which is really exciting. So you can see all the different organizations that are involved with the work we do and the history that we do. So we're involved with a lot of the local news organizations, the Villager, the Community Reporter, also the Highland Business Association and the Highland District Council. And they all have great fancy new logos, which is really exciting. We also have a volunteer with us page. So if you find after this meeting that you're interested in getting to know us or giving your oral history or maybe showing us some artifacts, this is a little page that gives you a little more information about that. So if you scroll down here, you can find kind of the ways that we want volunteers to engage with the project, and it also gives you some additional contact information. And then if you feel like you don't want to contact us directly, we also have a contact form that you can visit, and you can shoot us an email, and we can get back to you with more information. But most of the information that you'll need for volunteering and whatnot is on this website and all our contact info as well. So I hope you'll visit it. It's really exciting. It took a long time. And so that's, I think, all from me, and we can continue on with the rest of the presentation. Thank you all for coming. This is a great turnout, by the way.
Yes, we're so excited. And thank you, Catherine. She has just been wonderful. At the whole time we've been working, actually we started working, Highland Heritage began in 2017, and with a niece going out there and videoing and interviewing 3 people in the community. But we always said we need a tech angel. And Catherine is that. So it's really great, and somebody to organize us a bit. I'd also like to recognize some of our other advisory board members. There's Peter Myers. Hello, Peter. We know Peter because he's a film videographer and has kindly taken interest in both the Friends of Highland Arts and Highland Heritage Project. And let's see who else we see here. We see Tom Edelstein we're going to be talking about the Housing History Project soon, because that's very exciting. We're going to inaugurate them. Jean Marks,
Okay.
Also on that. Very good to see you. Okay, so I want to introduce.
You forgot
Frank.
Merritt.
Oh,
Merritt.
Merritt, yes, I don't see you on here. Where is Merritt? There you are. Merritt Clapp Smith has been supporting us, oh, ever since we started. And we just have to express our gratitude. And she's on our advisory board as well. How can we be so lucky? And oh, there, look who else is on, James Farnsworth. Hello, James. We're going to talk to you later. Okay, so Jane McClure, of course, you know, when I would tell anybody that we're start talking about Highland history, they'd say, oh, you've got to talk to Jane McClure. Well, of course. And I always said, you know, how can we is there a way to download Jane? And she's just been, she's part of our research and writing team. Jane, can you say a few words if you'd like? I don't know how her microphone is working.
Sure, I can. I've got some computer issues here tonight, so I'm joining you by phone. You know, it's funny, you cover a neighborhood for a very long time, and for me it's almost 40 years. And while it's always said that news is the first rough draft of history, here we are. And there's a lot of good resources for Highland history already. Ford Plant, some of the early histories of Fort Snelling, Camp Coldwater. There's a lot of history, and there's a lot of interesting things about Highland. People tend to think of the very old neighborhoods in St. Paul, Frogtown, Irvin Park, Dayton's Bluff, and it's the outlying neighborhoods people don't think are as interesting. And I would say that's not true. So I'm looking forward to this, and I'm going to listen to everyone else tonight. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you, Jane. So grateful for all of your contributions. And Frank, hello. Take the floor. Can you? There we go.
Unmute.
Say a little bit about yourself.
I had a little wine tonight. I just remembered how to unmute myself. I think I know like half the screen, or I've interviewed half the screen at some point while reporting for various people. So I'm, like Jane, a reporter, very interested in history, have a history degree too, which I haven't used nearly enough. And Highland's got like Jane said, this is a really interesting community for history. I grew up in Neenah, Wisconsin. Somebody there did a wonderful history of our community as a source of paper for the country and the world. And as I'm talking to these people, I haven't done a whole lot of research yet, but just listening to Jackie and her cohorts, Denise and the rest, I'm learning a great deal about Highland, and I look forward to helping put it together into good prose.
Good, thank you. And I want to mention Anne Clement, who is also on our advisory board. She's a professor emeritus at St. Thomas in history, and also a member of our social justice committee at Lumen Christi. So you say hi, Anne.
Hi, everybody.
Good. So, good. Now, what we want to do is, Anise, are you ready? Where are you there? Okay.
I'm ready.
Okay, good. And then can you put up, Catherine, you put up the goals?
Yes, so I'll be screen sharing again with everyone to continue our little PowerPoint.
I'm going to start because as Catherine's
There we go.
doing that, I have Jackie put me on a diet of conversation here, and she would like to hit the highlights, which I'm going to start with saying some of the people that we've started interviewing have been the early Irish families. We've spoken to the descendants of the Smith families, the Davern families, and the Ryans. And I want to put a plug in for a request. If anyone has contact with or knows a way for us to find the Thomas Emma Crosby family, they were among that would be the three Irish families, and the fourth being the Crosbys, came in around the same time into St. Paul, into the area of Montreal and West 7th Street. And we were interested in pursuing all of them together because their stories were so interwoven. In addition to the early descendants, and that's not the complete story, but that was the beginning dip into the history of early Highland Park, are also some of the longstanding, these are other targeted populations we've interviewed, the longstanding businesses in Highland Park that include, we've interviewed the Highland Nursery owner, the Cecil's owner, David Leventhal, the Muller jeweler family. And has that been showing, Catherine? Are you sort of moving me ahead on some of those pictures of the businesses? Okay, so this was outdoors interviewing one of our elders in the community. Moeller Jeweler, Cecil's, they're not side by side in Cleveland.
Yeah, they're not actually side by side.
But we took the photos around the same time. And how about now we're moving on to religious institutions. We've been in touch with Glory Day Lutheran Church. We've spoken to the pastor and 3 of their parish members. We've been in an interview with Dennis de Geneve and I at the Temple of Aaron with the executive director. Fantastic place. Not a picture, but we've been to speak with Messiah Episcopal Church on Ford Parkway near Snelling. Interesting location. They have the Karen population they're ministering to from Myanmar. We also hope to reach out to, haven't yet done it, the Lutheran Lumen Christi Catholic community. We have a great vintage photo here coming somewhere about before it was even built at St. Leo's. Isn't that a fantastic picture? You can see Powers off to the left, and you see the structure with the skeletal view of what became St. Leo's Church. I think they opened in, I don't want to make a mistake here, but I think
65.
I was going to guess 65. Thank you. So we're going to have conversations with Lumen Christi, Adopt Israel, we hope, the more Orthodox Jewish faith members, Edgecombe Presbyterian. We've also, probably the bulk of who we've been in touch with have been the elders of our community. I think we're getting into Judy's right now, but this is the old reserve map. But and we've just learned so many beautiful things. So I'm going to close with that. I've already gone longer than I should have, but I have as my role here, my important role was to introduce the next person.
Oh, can I just say something? Judy, can you introduce Mark Levine before he has to leave?
Oh, sure.
Is Mark still on? Oops. Is Mark still on?
He wrote something in chat, but I don't know if he's still here.
Yeah, maybe not. Well, okay.
Oh, well, should we read it to everyone, or can everyone look at it themselves? He had to leave early. He's glad to meet everyone, and his organization, the French American Foundation, I think Heritage Foundation, hopes to do a joint effort with the Highland Heritage Project about the early history in Fort Snelling, Camp Coldwater, and the early fur traders. Yippee, that's what I want to hear about. So I would probably say, if y'all want to communicate, do send us more chat messages if you know some of those leads that you would like to have us consider for interview subjects. I was going to give you, Judy, a formal intro, but I can't, I've lost my notes. Is it time, Jackie?
Yes,
I don't.
yeah.
Okay, so Judy Korlath Hildman has been a co-facilitator with me for a long time. She's a dynamo of energy. She's got a lot of contacts in the St. Paul community, and she's been helping us to get connected to other historical groups to do future Zooms, we hope, with meeting more people who have a fondness for what we're up to. All right, Judy, take it. Judy, your turn.
Where's Judy?
I don't know. Are you on mute? I can't see her.
Let me see if I can get the.
Hi.
Oh,
Okay.
there we are.
That's
Sorry, Judy, I fast forwarded.
Yeah. Can you go back to the?
Yep, so sorry.
You're blowing all my exciting photos here.
I know, I breezed through it.
Can you go back to the map?
The reserve map, yes.
Yes. Thank you. So, as Anise said, I was raised in Highland Park, and I joined the Highland Heritage Project team about 1.5 years ago. I'm doing research and conducting oral history interviews along with Anise. This map, the 1867 map of Ramsey County, shows the early farms and what would become Highland Park and the West 7th neighborhood. And with Fort Road, as you can see angling there, now West 7th, connecting us with the West 7th neighborhood, we see how intertwined our histories are, the histories of our neighborhoods. And we are hopeful we can forge a strong relationship with the West 7th community. as we explore our shared histories. We know that they are way ahead of us in telling their story, but we hope they will help us tell our story. Next slide, Anise. We've been doing research, as Anise said, on some of the early farms in Highland. We've interviewed Rita Daverin and her cousin Frank Lewanovich. I hope I'm saying that correctly, Frank, who are both here tonight. They have done extensive interviews, extensive research on their family and the history of Daverin Farm. And they shared with us this wonderful picture of Daverin family members working their field at the southwest corner of Snelling and Montreal, where Highland Park High School now is. So isn't that fun? Next slide, Catherine. We've also, as Anise said, interviewed the descendants of the Smith family, early Irish settlers whose farm was located in the area of Montreal and West 7th. Coincidentally, while interviewing Sue Hustings of Highland Nursery about her family business, we learned of this wonderful bur oak sculpture that Sue had commissioned to honor the original farmers, John P. Smith and his wife, Elizabeth. I urge you to visit Highland Nursery and have the staff explain its details to you. It truly is a work of art. And while Sue was researching this and learning about the farm, she reached out to Gary Brueggemann, local historian, who is also with us tonight. Next slide. And as I said, we were initially interviewing Sue Hustings about Highland Nursery, which was started in 1947 by her parents, excuse me, Lois and Henry Herrick. Sue shared this photo of the original location of Highland Nursery, which was on the west side of Cleveland Avenue at Pinehurst. And at this point, the nursery was housed under an Army surplus tent. So fabulous picture. Next slide, Anise. This summer, we also interviewed Kathy Bell Soderberg, property manager of Sibley Manor Apartments. And Kathy told us that when Sibley Manor was built in 1951 to 52, it was noted that it was the largest real estate property between Chicago and the Pacific Ocean. Initially, some of the apartments were rented as furnished apartments, and we thought you would get a kick out of seeing these 1950s promotional photos. Over the years, Sibley Manor has had an influx of immigrants, with immigrants from many different countries arriving during different time periods. The story of these immigrant populations, adding to the diversity of Highland Park, is a story we are interested in learning about and we are eager to tell. And Catherine, last slide. And
this is on to the next part. Yeah. So you want to actually.
Oh, you want to use that? Okay, so that's you. That's fine. Okay, that's for our next housing committee launch. But now I would like to recognize two individuals who have become an important part of our team as active volunteers. Susan Gangle. And Susan, could you maybe just unmute for a minute and say hi so we can see you?
Hi, everybody. I'm Susan.
So Susan contacted us after she read our August article in The Villager and offered to help us. Susan has her master's in library science from the University of Minnesota, and for all her professional career, worked in the U of M library system. She brings a wonderful skill set to us with her expertise in doing computerized searches of publications and archives. And Susan, I wasn't going to say this, but now I have to. Susan also worked at Highland Drug as a waitress up the Highland Drug counter for how many years?
At least 6.
Okay, so how fun is that? And the second person there, hi. Hi, Susan. Now I'd like to introduce another active volunteer with us, Dave Gredimus. And Dave, can you unmute for a second and wave?
Hi, how you doing?
Good, thank you. So we reached out to Dave this summer because we knew of his work in telling the stories of the West 7th area where he grew up. We also knew that Dave gave history bus tours of Highland Park. Dave's passion is to tell the stories of neighborhoods and the people who live there. He told us that he had always thought that Highland Park's history is a story that needed to be told. I think Jane McClure echoed that earlier, and he generously offered to help us do that. Dave is a retired educator and now has a business giving historic bus tours locally, nationally, and even internationally. We know his love of history and the great communication skills he's honed as an educator and as a historic tour guide will be huge assets for us. And Dave, we're really grateful for your help. And finally, I would like to recognize two people who are attending tonight. The first is Gary Brueggemann. And Gary, can you say something so we can see you? Many of you probably already know of Gary's work as a local historian. Can you wave, Gary, or maybe you're pulled up here?
He's on mute.
Okay, well, Gary is here. When we recently contacted Gary, he responded that the Highland Heritage Project, as he responded to us, he said, the Highland Heritage Project is right up my alley and that he would be delighted to join us. And he also told us that he has done extensive research on the Highland area. So needless to say, we're very excited to have his involvement. Gary, by the way, is working on the last chapter of his latest book, Pioneers of St. Paul. And then as a little aside, Gary Brueggemann and Dave Bredemus have been lifelong friends since first grade and share their love of history. Finally, Mark Labine, who had to leave us. We met Mark this summer. Mark is the president of the French American Heritage Foundation, founded in 2013 with a mission to promote and cultivate the heritage of French language cultures. He's also the author of the book, Where the Waters Meet, a story about where Minnesota was born. And it's a wonderful book. And of course, Where the Waters Meet is right here where the Mississippi River and the Minnesota River intersect. So this is our area. He's told the story of the French who lived in this area. And it's just a great book. Mark has agreed, as he said in his chat, to partner with us. And we hope that partnership will be very beneficial to both of our organizations. And now, Jackie, back to you.
Yes, I was just thinking about the impact of all this history, and it really does it's really changed my perspective. As a young girl, we moved into this area when I was 5 years old. My parents built a house that I actually took over and I'm living in now. So I've lived in Highland like forever and ever. But I used to really think about the Native Americans who lived here. When I would find things and I couldn't figure out what they were, I'd say, oh, this must be left over from the time the Indians were here. I was very aware of that. And so this just really blends with this interest of mine in the Native American presence here. And we will also be working with Native American scholars and other people to bring that presence and that information to our contemporary society. I think it's something that's been missing, unfortunately. And we have to acknowledge that this was Native American land, and now we're going to be talking about all these amazing development that took place, the housing that has been developed over the years. So Tom Edelstein and Jean Marks, Patty Haig is also on this committee, and Peg Riley is heading it. And Annie, I think you would be interested in working in this group if you could. Good. But what we want to do is, Catherine, could you pull up some of the slides here. We had a fascinating conversation with Jack Rice about the Highland Village apartments. And we know that those are a gem of Highland, and they've been well taken care of. They have, they were built, I believe, in the 30s. We've got a lot of information about them. And so that's part of the housing. The next one, please. So when we interviewed Mary McCart, it turned out that she lived in one of the houses that was one of the 3 model houses for the Bazance brothers' homes. And so she told us that. We interviewed her. She has a great story. And this is on St. Paul Avenue, and that's one of the homes. And there are many different styles, such as what we fondly call the Hobbit house. There are many different stories. My house, the house that's next to me on Cleveland Avenue, was built for the first, well, a Black preacher and his white wife. We think that that this is what we have to do the research about. I think that the church probably owned the land and owned the house and maybe built it for them. But it's so interesting that the houses all have their stories. We are also working with St. Catherine's because they have taken on the Mapping Prejudice project for Ramsey County. It's been going on in Minneapolis, and there are a couple of really good videos you should try to watch. And we want to find out what exactly was the redlining, what were their racial covenants in the deeds, and this is what they are working on. So we're partnering with them, and we will incorporate the information that they find out in our final report. So everybody, you're witnessing the launch of the Housing Committee. We are very interested in having volunteers, obviously, because that's what has made this organization grow up to this point. Oh, somebody wants to know, where is the Hobbit house? Who took that photo? Susan is asking that question.
I might have that information for you later, Susan. It's really not easy to tell you I'm a directionally challenged person.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you take, I think it's on, like if you're going down Edgecombe from Highland Park Senior High, it's like a weird little cutout. My dad and I went there this summer, but I think maybe he could direct better.
It looked familiar, but I couldn't place it, so thanks.
It's hidden. It's hidden. We'll give you the directions after this.
Yeah, it's right, where the pool house is, so I see that a lot. It's right behind that old pool house area. And it's the first road behind it, yeah.
I put in the chat what the address is.
Okay, great.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
You did, okay.
So, and I think, to tell you the truth, I believe that this is one way where we can draw in a lot of community members. So Housing Committee, we're going to have our next meeting, our first meeting next week, and Peg and Tom and Jean, and Annie, we're going to put our heads together and come up with ways to get the word out to people if they want to find out about their house, who would like to participate, who would like to do some of this research, and we'll just see where it goes. That will be, I think, a very positive contribution and draw in a lot of people and make them, feel more a part of the community. Again, one of the reasons for the Highland Heritage project is that when new people come to the community, which we know they're going to do, we want them to know about us. And we want them to have a place where they can go and find out. Now, our aim is to eventually do a book, but we'd also like to have an interactive website, maybe even a place where people could go and add to the history. And we also need documenting what's going on now. So let's take some time for questions and answers. And if anybody wants to comment, and I think there are some people we haven't talked to yet or haven't heard from. So this is kind of just a free-for-all. Let me see what's going on the chat. Let's see. Is anybody, if you can just raise your hand and unmute yourself and say something. And
I think there was a comment about duplexes from Bill Kenny, you know, that there was just a comment about there's so many duplexes here. That'd be something to look into.
yeah, that's interesting, the duplexes in the area too, yeah. Okay, anybody have any questions for us that we can answer? Or even if we can't answer them.
Merritt?
Jackie, Merritt is asking a
Oh,
question,
Merit. Mhm.
or asking one.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting, even at this front end, to start to put together ideas for how history can be reflected in public spaces. So as people are in Highland, they can be learning things, and how to start fundraising for that and finding host sites and what are the forms that can be in, whether it's interpretive signs or some sort of artwork like that cool wooden sculpture, or even something equivalent to sidewalk poetry, but instead it says something about the place you're in. Because those opportunities can be hard to find, and sometimes you sort of have to jump on them, say if a infrastructure project is happening or something. So that might be a fun subcommittee activity.
That's a good point. Yes, and definitely that is one of the long-range aims that we've had as Highland Community Initiative was public art, and definitely, you know, making this all very much alive. Any other questions or comments?
I would just mention to Merritt that when I was on the Highland District Council, I kept trying to figure out how we could get at least a sign for some of the artwork in Highland. There is no sign. There's no acknowledgement of who created the sculpture anywhere. I mean, there's at least 5 or 6 off the top of my head I can think of that there's no indication at all. I still don't know their histories, but there's no signage, nothing. And I've often thought too, like if you go to Uptown, you can see there's historic presentations as you walk through Uptown of what it was. It would be great to do that here at some point, to have that in the village and maybe down at the river, just historic markers that give a little history of our community.
Maybe the Highland Bridge, what is that the right name? The Ford plant?
Yeah.
That might be, I don't know if they'd have any openings somewhere in there, but they should be aware of that desire.
Yes,
Well, I know Colleen and I have talked about this too, this lack of acknowledgement of any sculpture. We haven't, I mean, it's crazy that there's nothing saying who did it, when it was installed, etc.
So Tom has,
Sorry, I was just going to say to Susan's point, I was just hearing from someone at the city today that works in the Parks Department. I was asking about Highland Bridge and what sort of cultural historic interpretation might happen there. And she said that the person at the city that's supposed to be sort of leading that is Melanie McMahon, who's in the mayor's office now. So probably not too early to reach out and start that conversation if you haven't already.
Tom, you wanted to say something or ask?
I was just curious. Do we have a goal set for the Highland Bath, and if so, what amount are we trying to raise to preserve it?